Hello, everyone. I'm Toby Blue. Welcome to Proof of Concept.
And I'm Jason Rabinowitz. This show is brought to you by the Tasting Alliance, home to the world's most prestigious and respected spirits competitions, including the San Francisco, New York, Asia, and Latin America World Spirits competitions.
The Tasting Alliance was founded by my father, Anthony Dias Blue, a pioneer who believed true craftsmanship deserves to be celebrated and that passion and integrity should always define excellence. That spirit lives on through the makers we feature here.
In each episode, we share the journeys of visionaries pushing for something extraordinary. Even the word proof, rooted in 16th century tests of a spirit's strength, reminds us that every great idea needs evidence it can work.
But at its core, Proof of Concept isn't just about spirits, it's about spirit. Dreaming big, taking risks, and building something meaningful. From grain to glass to gold, actually double gold to be more precise. These are the stories of trials, tribulations, and ultimately triumph.
So whether you love whiskey, gin, tequila, or simply the power of perseverance, you're in the right place.
This is Proof of Concept.
We dedicate this series to my father-in-law and Toby's father, Anthony Dias Blue, whose passion and pursuit of excellence continue to guide and inspire us. We have a really good one for you today, everybody. A spirit that captures the entrepreneurial spirit perfectly. Our guest today is Andrew Merinoff, co-founder of Chinola, a passion fruit, mango, and pineapple liqueur born in the Dominican Republic and built from the ground up with heart, hustle, and a deep respect for the craft, all of which we'll be speaking with him about today.
Andrew is responsible for the strategic direction and commercial expansion across the U.S. and international markets at Chinola. It's Andrew's ancestral influences that can also be attributed to cultivating his interest in pursuing innovative endeavors like crafting the world's first ever shelf-stable fresh fruit liqueur. Andrew has 10 years of culinary experience as well as being awarded the Entrepreneurial Excellence Award. Apart from an extensive restaurant background that involves collaborating with several high-profile F&B venues in New York City, Andrew has served as a menu and mixologist consultant at several restaurants and bars, and importantly, Andrew is a brand new father, having welcomed Jacqueline a few short weeks ago.
Mazel tov. And F&B, for anybody who doesn't know, because I didn't, is food and beverage. I didn't know that. Chinola's bona fides with the Tasting Alliance are truly notable, including passion fruit. Double gold at the 2022, 23, 24, and 2025 San Francisco World Spirits Competition, which makes him platinum in 2024 and 2025. That's what, when you win double gold 3 times?
3 years in a row.
3 years in a row. It's hard to do. Double gold at the New York World Spirits Competition. Chinola Mango got double gold at the 2024 and 2025 San Francisco World Spirits Competitions, and
Pretty
freaking impressive. Yeah.
Andrew's journey embodies what Proof of Concept is all about: vision, perseverance, and the courage to create something truly original. So settle in, pour yourself something you love, and let's get started.
Yay.
Awesome,
Welcome,
guys.
Andrew. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me today. Super excited to be here. I can easily say Toby is one of the early adopters of what we were trying to do here, which was put citrus into a bottle. Put things into a bottle that resonated with the sense of terroir, things that were only known to winemakers before, that weren't created in a lab, but instead created in the soil, giving back to local communities and a sustainable effort that would not only resonate with consumers, but the trade as well. I mean, everyone had simple syrup, they had their citrus, and they had high fructose corn syrup, lab-made, artificial liqueurs, and that was the pastime. And I think
Keep it shelf stable.
to keep the shelf stability, to keep the flavor profiles there. But
Yeah.
end of the day, fruits aren't pink necessarily, and they're
Right.
not bright, vibrant green.
Yeah.
They are what they are. And one of the early things we realized is the reason winemakers put years and vintages on is because the fruits change.
Right.
And it's one thing we're learning right now is consistency has to also have a play with the local agriculture, the rainy season of that year, how
Yeah.
long the winter was.
Are you toying with the, I mean, we're jumping way ahead, but are you toying with the idea of like maybe dating the bottles? Like
We're
would make
not
sense.
yet. It would make sense, and I'm
Right.
sure our operations team would love the idea. But really, it's It's the sense of giving back and creating something that is not only unique but genuine. And I know we're going to go into some storytelling
Yes,
later.
Yeah.
for sure.
But
Well, let's start at the beginning. Take
Yeah.
us back. Where did you grow up? Tell us a little bit about your family and what your childhood was like.
Yeah, so I was born in New York. I
Boop,
lived here.
boop.
Yeah, lived here in
Yeah.
early childhood. Had moved to New Jersey eventually as our family's network was really based here in New York. And wanted to move to the suburbs. I went to high school in Vermont to a boarding school.
Oh, which did you go to Putney?
I did not, but
Oh,
I was close to
yeah.
Putney.
Uh-huh.
I loved skiing. I love
Yeah.
winter activities. And I love the idea of moving to different networks. When my friends were going to the Bahamas early on in life, my parents said, "Oh, you want to go to the Bahamas? That sounds nice. We're going to take you to Peru and Ecuador, and you're going to live in the jungle. You're going to build houses. You're going to understand the rest of the world."
That's
A-
so cool.
A
And I
lot
think
of entrepreneurial spirit going on in your family.
yeah, and it was a really key note my dad said early on is if you want to save the world, you have to love it first. And I love the
That's
world.
so good.
That's
What
Yeah.
a good pull quote. Because I mean that's just it. I mean, Toby and I are both parents. We're raising. You're going to take your Jacqueline in and have these desires to have her understand the world. I mean, that's interesting to me that your parents took you. No, we're not going to go lay on a beach. Let's see the world, and you wind up building something that is truly, I think, really, really connected to giving back in that way, like in a way that I frankly think is quite rare. So yeah, I mean, go mom and dad.
Yeah. And when you talk about parenting, in our household, it was if you want to watch an hour of TV, you need to read a book for 2 hours. If you want to do this, but you need to do this, but twice as more. So if you want to go to the Caribbean, no problem. You need to put your work in first for 2 weeks. And by the first trip, when I was done, I was 11 or 12 years old. My friends all went to the Caribbean. I came back and I was like, I'm ready to do it again. And because of that, I got to live in Uganda and Rwanda. I got to
Wow.
go to Honduras, and we built foundations and we learned that, hey, I have a love for culinary, whether it's the bodega, sidecar, whatever's off the side of the street, up to the 3 Michelin star restaurant. But blending them all together into one ecosystem was core.
What did your parents do for a living?
So my family's been in wine and spirits
Yeah.
for quite some time. I'm actually fourth generation on my dad's side. My mom's side was Hiram Walker, the founder of Canadian Club
Wow.
Whiskey, 5 generations back. And they were really the original bootleggers in the sense of we're going to make whiskey and rum in Canada and we're going to ship it, but we're going to ship it to Central America because it's prohibition.
Wow.
And so we're going to ship it across Lake Michigan with boats that say going to Cuba. We all know that's physically impossible, but at the time it was the way the ecosystem worked. And my great grandfather had started the first distribution company during Prohibition here in New York. And if you look at shows like Boardwalk Empire and look at some of the characters and
Hiram
families we
Walker.
associated with, my parents didn't know us before getting married, but it was one side feeding the other.
Wow.
And we follow that legacy to be true. My sister's a master distiller. I make spirits, although we're not in distribution. We both followed suit, and I was in my first culinary class at 6. I was teaching it by 9.
Oh my
And I was in my
gosh.
first Michelin-rated restaurant at 13, peeling carrots. And my dad did it to punish me, and I loved it and never looked back.
Wow. That is so unique.
It's
Wha-
incredible.
What does your sister, what does she do?
So she started Matchbook Distilling Co. in Long Island. And the
Okay.
idea was, how do you take farmers' crops that are valued at pennies on the dollar and make them dollars on the penny instead? And one of the first cool projects that she did, she was taking lemon peels from Daniel Hum and turning them into a gin that was
Wow.
lemon infused.
Wow.
Now, 11 Madison Park's first ever dish tasting menu that has a spirit on it is the one that she made in collaboration with them. If you look at Blackberry Farm, she's done a collaboration with them. If you look at major food groups, she's done collaborations.
Man.
Dur-
We got to get Andrew's folks on this pod. We really do. Like if they created these two very special folks.
Yeah, and
that's
during COVID, no one wanted to peel pineapples. Baldor had 6,000 pineapples, no idea what to do with them. My sister bought them. She dug a hole in the earth. She buried them for 3 days. She smoked them, and she created a spirit called Ritual Sister, which was our U.S. version of a pineapple mezcal, in
I
a
was
375 and 3,000 bottles. And when it's gone, it's gone. And those are the cool things. You can't replace them. You can't replicate them,
yeah.
but you can change them every year based on what you get. And I think that's
Right.
the coolest part about our industry.
Incredible. When and how did the idea for Chinola first spark for you?
Yeah.
So Chinola was actually created by one of my co-founders, Mike Krickenwecky. He was doing a biochar soil company down in Mexico and looking at Central America to use the excerpts of coconuts to create soil for the cannabis industry. And they were down in Mexico,
Like
and then
as like a like soil
like a
food? Yeah,
fertilizer
fertilizer. Yeah.
for
Yeah.
cannabis that was very high dense nutritionally speaking.
Yeah, nitrogen rich. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Okay.
realized they were in Mexico and they were going down to Guatemala and El Salvador during a time when you probably didn't want to be there. And a friend of a friend said, you should come to the Dominican Republic. And he met one of our first master blenders. The guy went back 11 generations making liqueurs and fortified wines for the Magistracy of Austria. And they stumbled upon this product in a blender in an apartment in the Dominican Republic. And the whole idea was that it was citrus forward, and they brought back 2 water bottles of it to our friends at the Broken Shaker at the time, one of the
Where
top
where
bars.
is that?
It was in Florida.
Okay.
The Broken Shaker was started because the opening night at the Freehand Hotel, someone broke one of the few shakers they had, and the next day they're like, "If you're really good at what you do, you don't need a fully functioning shaker. You can make anything out of having the right ingredients in front of you."
Mhm.
Typical mixologists hated everything. They said you should get this into a package, and that was in 2014. They brought it to me. It was in a water bottle. It separated. It browned very quickly, and we spent 5 years and 2,200 test batches later to figure out how to make the world's first shelf-stable fresh fruit liqueur.
Without
A little bit of a mouthful, without preservatives, no coloring, no flavoring. Um, and yeah, here we are today. We were a passion fruit liqueur company, and now we're a fresh fruit liqueur company.
So in a sense, the passion fruit predated you. They found that down there, and then they brought Chinola.
They
Well, sort of.
No,
Yeah.
100%. All I was looking for in the world, and the first person I think to ever do liqueur in a premium way, and there obviously there's Campari, there's Aperol, they've done things similar, but Saint Germain. Rob Cooper was the industry legend who created the first ever. I'm going to sell you liquid in a bottle, and it's going to be over $45,
Yeah.
and it's going to use the most sophisticated fruit that's hard to extract. And people thought he was crazy. His own family thought this will never work, and he proved everyone wrong.
Oh, it worked so big. I remember when that started, I was like, "This is the most delicious thing I've ever tasted in my life."
And it was. He literally changed an industry of saying, why not pay 20 cents more per ounce for something if it is significantly better? And he really started that trend, and we followed suit. And I think there's a few amazing people out there that have done things that are similar. But our idea was, how do we become citrus forward instead of sugar forward? How do we become viscous without being synthetic?
And where does the name Chinola come from?
So Chinola is actually the meaning for passion fruit in the Dominican Republic. So they will call it Lulacuya, Plancha, Parcha. Maracuja would be the biggest name for it. In the Dominican Republic, Chinola is very specific to them. And the idea was we wanted to pay homage to its roots, and keep something that was sacred to the Dominican Republic.
Amazing. So you've basically proven the concept that you can make this particular liqueur. Given the family that you've come from, you take it to them, and what's their reaction to it?
My dad said this was the dumbest thing he's ever seen in his life. He said, commercially viable, no. At the time, I was building celebrity tequila and whiskey brands. I was building Great Jones Distillery in Manhattan. I was making a really good living off of working for Proximo and Jose Cuervo. I was consulting for a bunch of founders, and we were staying in our lanes of this is traditional whiskey, and this is tequila, and this is vodka. And I never thought I would join the cordial space, the liqueur space. I thought it was weird. I thought De Kuyper Bulls, they all had ownership on it, that Midori was the king of the castle and Saint Germain was a fluke. Um, and it wasn't until one of my co-founders, Robert, was flying back from Chicago to Miami. A good friend was out with me in Long Island and said, divert your flight, come chat with Andrew. He is just curious to taste it. He diverted his flight. He flew to New York. He drove 3 hours to Long Island
Wow.
on a Friday going out to East Hampton, not
Damn.
easy in traffic.
Boy.
And I took one taste of it. And I said, we're going to do something with this. And that was in 2014. Let's get this into a bottle. Let's figure it out. And I brought it to Proximo at the time. And I was M&A. So for me, it was bring them brands. Let's see what we can invest behind. It wasn't a brand. It was in a Poland Spring bottle
Right.
that the label is ripped off, label as juice. And he came back 2 weeks later, and excuse my language, we'll cut this out. He said, what the fuck is this lava lamp doing on my desk? Because it's separated. And it looked like a lava lamp. If you had air blowing through the bottom of it, it would coagulate.
That's hilarious. I
yeah.
can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I worked up the courage after a few months to say, I would like to do this on the side. And they said, we see no threat to
Right.
you doing this.
Right.
I think the cool thing is,
Did they wind up? So did you bootstrap this?
bootstrapped it.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Vitamix owes me shares in their company. How many blenders we burned through?
Wow.
They said they can't be burned through. Oh, we burned through them. We created this not in a lab, not even in an apartment building.
Yeah.
Let's just put this in. Let's take that out. We could have
That's so
changed the
punk
dynamic.
rock.
Yeah,
It's so good.
we could have changed everything. We could have used 3 ingredients that would have changed the dynamic, sped things up by
Right.
3 years, and
Yeah.
we said that's not the route we're going to go.
Yeah.
Was there a moment where you thought it might fail?
Every morning when I wake up. Every morning when I wake up, it's not even about the failure of it, is can you keep up with the quality, the reassurance, knowing that we're telling farmers to take a bet on us. To grow fruit the way we want it to be grown, you're hedging your bet. And the issue, and I guess the correlation or equilibrium value for them is, we'll pay you more over the next 3 years to people that need to put food on the table that day. And that has been the hardest thing about it. I mean, everything else, the expiration, the 2-year shelf life, those are all difficult things. Convincing a farmer who right now, every day he sells his crops, he takes the money, he buys food, he puts it on his table. It's a day-by-day thing. And what we're trying to teach is future value of your farm. And we need to get very creative over that front. And the second thing, when you guys watch the weather report, you're looking for a hurricane as in avoid that area.
Right.
I look at it as
Oh
we
my
could
God.
destroy the whole plantation and how to protect that. And that comes with farmers co-ops. And we'll get deeper into that later.
Yeah.
But for me, the failure every day, we finally made a great product. And I think the one funny story was we're trying to get into Australia. I don't know why, but Australia is 50% RTDs, high sugar on
What is
shelf.
RTD?
Ready to drink,
Oh, ready to
pre-canned
yeah.
cocktail. They're way ahead of the curve. And I'm trying to convince the distributor, you should have us in Australia. We're going to crush it here. We're going to. He says no for 3 years. Eventually, a mutual friend leaks their address. We send a bottle label to his wife for her birthday. She opens it up. He comes back. Her and all of her friends are having a great time. The bottle Chinola is done. He calls me saying, we're going to launch this market. We'll air freight 30 cases, but you need to get a container on the sea tomorrow. It takes 90 days to get there. We get so excited. We jump the gun. We're like, all right, we're going to do this. A month later, it goes off. 90 days later, it shows up. And it's almost the people that work stocks. They know by 9 p.m. that day if they really messed up. People in whiskey, they know 4 years later. We found out 90 days later that we sent 1,000 cases of product that the caps did not open to.
Wow.
Wait, what?
So we had figured out the liquid, the labels, the packaging, the compliance, and none of the caps would open.
Oh my God.
So I bought them 250 cigar openers, and I said, sell this to on-premise, rip the cap off, dump it into a drink,
Wow.
and we'll send you the next 1,000 on
What
us.
what lesson did you learn from that? I mean,
I think there's the principle of the shiny object, and a lot of brand founders, they look at something as an end goal. And I think living in the moment needs to be more crucial than pods on a shelf, two bottles on a back bar. What we learned in that moment was a little bit of patience,
Mm.
a little bit of FOMO and allocation works very well. And taking your time to do the first launch correctly is way more important than being in the timeline that they're going to give you. Because as a store owner, I want things yesterday. By the time you see the trend, you're late to the trend. By the time you follow the trend, you're 2-3 months behind the R&D required. So taking your time and not having the shiny dangly object in front of you and chasing it was really crucial. And I mess that up every single day.
For young founders in the beverage space, what's one common mistake you see, and how could they avoid it?
I think the amount of times when I talk to a founder and they say, we're building to exit or we're building to sell means you build the wrong metrics. What I love to hear founders say is, I'm building for dividend checks. I'm building a company that I know will be sustainable at some point, and if it takes us longer to get there, that's no problem. And then understanding your product first, because if you're marketing forward or launch forward, but your product backwards, and you don't get the product right, no one's going to buy into it. I think that some founders read their own press and they say this is going to be the next big thing. They buy into the hype and they rush into the end goal. And it's a mistake I see time after time after time of, if you have 10 people in a room and 9 say yes, then 9 of them aren't needed. What you want is devil's advocate. And founders need to learn how to have thick skin and have people that are going to challenge them. And if I build a brand plan for any one of our launches, my team is not allowed to say that's a great idea. They have to pick at something.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to agree with me. They have to say, hey, I might do this differently. And I think once founders start to realize that they're not the smartest person in the room, it will help accelerate that room.
I think basically the last two things you said. One, don't, basically the first thing you said, which was the about the shiny object, like boils down to like don't make a spirit for the end goal of making money per se. Make it for the love, right? That's the one thing. Love the thing, right? Am I hearing that correctly? And then the other thing is don't be afraid to like the seeking out the holes and not needing to be propped up. Like look for the what's the word? Authenticity. There's authenticity in it, I guess, is what I'm hearing.
Well, if you set the bar really high and you fail, we're going to back you. But if you set the bar really low and you succeed, we're going to give you a hard time. If the bar isn't set to the correct parameters of what success is going to look like, what did you really accomplish at the end of the day? And so I think there is a way of building to market. And when my dad was not wrong when he said this was the dumbest thing ever, at the time, it was because we didn't know who we are or what we wanted to do. But we did have one goal that made us unique is I wanted to put citrus into a bottle that was shelf stable, that didn't cost an astronomical price, but was still a premium to everything else. And that was the goal. That was the tunnel vision. 4 years of R&D, and we could have launched prematurely. And maybe in 2018 we did, but it was only into New York and Florida. And Total Wine said, we'll launch you nationwide. And there were a few weeks where like Total Wine's going to take us nationwide. We're going to crush this. And if we had said yes to them, and if we had said yes to Marriott, and if we had said yes to an airline and put this into 50 ml, we would have failed.
Right.
It would have been a short-term objection win for a long-term failure that we never
The
be able to
equivalent
sustain.
of drinking from a fire hose.
Yeah.
At that point, you got to scale at the right speed.
pace.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if that wasn't your breakthrough moment, what was the breakthrough moment when you thought this could work?
I think it's when we started to really understand when we went from 200 cases to 600. It was on the production side. I think we knew we could sell the product if we knew how to make it. And the making it was the challenge. We had all knew how to make a vodka really well, a gin. We knew whiskey would take 4 years, but you could adapt to it 4 years later. And if you were still within the company, it would be your problem. And if you were not, you lay down the barrels. I think it's when the first 1,000 cases came out and the caps opened. It was a really great moment for us. I think then the next
It's the
two,
little things.
it really it comes down to you get everything right, a- and then we got ahead of things. So when we knew we messed up, we weren't sitting there waiting for someone to scold us. We went out and told everyone, "Oh, by the way," and I think mango is a perfect example. We launched mango in April of 2024, and the first 2,000 cases, they were perfect. The next 3,000, we didn't match the demand with our supply. We bought mangoes in the wrong season.
Mm.
We knew they were fibrous. We knew the pectin level was too high, and the consumer reacted, and we put it into market anyway. And this is 2 years ago. We were making mistakes of saying it's okay, we need to get mango into a bottle. uh, we slowed down, we apologized, we did a lot of that. We were very upfront. Hey, by the way, mango is more pectinous than passion fruit. If you bite into a mango, it gets stuck in your teeth.
Mm.
If you bite into a passion fruit, you're got a bunch of seeds, but it's just a different network of fruit. Once we started to realize, all right, if we slow down a little bit, if it's no timeline into launching a fruit, let's not say we're going to launch in April. Let's launch when the product is perfect. That was a core part. But no, our biggest success story was getting 5,000 cases out of the warehouse. We knew that once production was there, our team could align up, and the equilibrium for us probably came in 2022 when we went from 3,000 cases up to 15,000. 900 cases. We knew, all right, we can produce and sell, and let's find the even balance to grow.
Fantastic. What makes Chinola stand out from other liqueurs?
I think it's the wow factor. And sometimes people say, I don't want to offend you, but this looks like Alizé, or it looks like something else. And that's totally fine. That will never offend me. There's 300 types of milk brands out there, and the liquid itself looks like the other one. It's the taste profile of it. I think what makes it stand out and where people get surprised is when they taste it.
Yeah.
There's acidity. It
I
makes
can
your
attest
lips
to that.
pucker.
I bought a bottle of plain OG Chinola, and I brought it to a party. Not many people, maybe 8 people at this party, maybe 10. It was gone. It was gone. Like 2 hours later, it just went. Everyone loved it. That's all there was to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you win over the early supporters, the investors, bartenders, distributors?
I can't say that I ever won over my investors. Honestly, this is one of the few companies where my investors want to kill me on a regular basis because we were slow and we did things appropriately. And when we scaled, it wasn't going to a manufacturer and saying, oh, we just, instead of buying 1,000 gallons, we need to buy 10,000. It just wasn't available. And I think that speed of growth, had some investors not want to back us. Another one saying it's not growing correctly. But we won the trade because we delivered the cases. And I think a core example is we finally got our big shot in New York. Gurney's was doing their Memorial Day weekend launch in the Hamptons. I really wanted to win Gurney's. It's spent so long doing it. I spent so long on these accounts, and we're a very small team. It's Friday Memorial Day weekend, and our importer slash distributor time, which was not Empire, was another one we work with across the U.S. Park Street.
Can I interrupt you? Can you explain the significance of Gurney's? Because I am not.
Oh,
I
sorry.
am the layman
Yep,
here.
yep.
I don't really know. Yeah.
So everything in the Hamptons it's built for boutique. It's put into songs. It's put into this whole lifestyle. There's one hotel out there that has 300 hotel rooms,
it.
has gone through the shifts over the years, 5 restaurants in it in a place that normally has one, 800 covers at once, put the beach. It is the creme de la creme. And winning
Okay.
in Miami, that's on every single block. Winning out there was the most highly visible place. At the time, there were these events where Red Bull would skydive down bottles of champagne to
Gee
your
whiz.
table. It was the pinnacle of what
Yeah.
visibility looks like in
Yeah,
a time
yeah.
where our marketing budget was $10,000 a year.
Yeah.
We couldn't afford to enter into there, but they were going to do a featured drink.
Oh
and
man.
The cases didn't show up, and so it's Friday. And I'm younger at the time. I realized that the only way cases are going to come is if I get the truck that's
Yeah.
going to go deliver the cases.
Yeah.
The team is like, you're going to rent a truck and drive out there on a Friday Memorial Day weekend, and anyone that doesn't,
So
there's
scrappy.
it's a 1-lane highway.
So
It could
scrappy.
take 7 hours, and it did. It took 7 hours, and the cases were late,
Oh my
but I brought
God.
them there, and the team saw that it resonated, and the trade
Yeah.
understood.
Yeah.
No one within our organization is too good to do anything, and our team lives by that. We actually want to see the brand succeed. Our investors want to see the brand succeed, but the team, they want to do it. And tasting at a liquor store to a masterclass of 300 people, everyone participates.
Always find what you love at Total Wine & More. With so many great bottles to choose from at the lowest prices, it's easy to find your favorite Cabernet or a new single barrel bourbon to try with some help from one of their friendly guides. And with every bottle comes the confidence of knowing you just found something amazing. With the lowest prices for over 30 years, find what you love and love what you find, only at Total Wine & More. Visit TotalWine.com to learn more. Spirits not sold in Virginia and North Carolina. Drink responsibly, B21.
I wanna talk about Chinola's commitment to accountability and sustainability, and that farmer co-op thing. How do you define sustainability in the context of the spirits industry?
So I think there's a few key principles, and I think that the base one is going to a place and leaving it better than how you found it. I think once you start to look at the foundation of that, you can build off of it. There are a lot of chemicals out there that obviously people can use to cut corners,
Mm.
but there are ways to not use those things. There are ways that if there's a local fisherman village there that catches fish every day, what do chefs do with the skeleton? They put it into stock.
Mm-hmm.
What do? We turn it into soil. If there's a way to pollinate crops that just takes honeybees, and for 6 months out of the year they're very useful to you, and 6 months out of the year they're a burden, but they're really core to making the best fruit possible, then for 6 months out of the year that they're not very useful to you, you keep them very happy.
Mm.
When you clear land, you don't need tractors when you have feral boars there that you can cage in and they'll rip out anything you want. Any stump is gone. And when you look at, do you want to burn something to create waste, or do you want to burn something to create biochar, a soil that actually is better? When you look at a 5-year growth plan, it's actually more cost efficient to do that. A- And it's probably an example that doesn't hit spirits, but hotels needed an initiative to be more sustainable. The reason that there's those signs that say, put your towel on the rack if you don't want it washed to be more green, the first few years they lost stars for that. Now it is a very cost efficient model. So
Mm.
for us, it was, we'll leave certain things on the floor, but we'll hang other things up that in 3 to 5 years from now will benefit us. And I think paying fair wages is key. Having clean drinking water shouldn't be a privilege, it should be a right. So how do we bring clean drinking water to the local community? We take the water rights away from the people that charge you for it, and we give it for free.
Hmm.
And how do you feed the local community? You can do so in a sustainable way, because I promise you, when the tractor breaks down at the 10th hour and the person that you put food on the table for needs to fix, it's done. It happens. And
Yeah.
I
So
think
are you like in kind of touch with the farming co-ops that you work with?
we love the idea of no monocropping. Do
Mm.
not plant the same thing over and over again year after year.
Yeah.
It is a short-term, short-sighted vision. Love the idea of using things that will keep the land very fertile 20 years from now,
Mm.
to create longevity. And I think, again, what we struggle with the most is what's the equilibrium value of teaching a farmer this is better for the future, knowing you need to put food on the table right now. And every day we struggle with it, and every day we learn something new. Thankfully, our investors, although they might want to scale the business, they understand that scaling the home of where Chinola comes from is more important.
We'll talk a little bit about, because you started out with the passion fruit, and the cycles, the gestation for passion fruit and mango are very different. Talk a little bit about that in terms of, and some of the challenges that presented
Yeah.
for the business.
So passion fruit grows on a vine. It's similar to how winery would look. There are vines and vines of passion fruit. They'll bloom from 2, 3, if you're lucky, 4 times a year. But really, the 2 to 3 times a year is the really good cycle. And first, a flower comes out. The flower needs to be pollinated. If there's a really bad storm that comes out when the flower is out, you find yourself in a lot of trouble.
Wow.
But the vines do live for 3 to 5 years, so
Right.
you don't have to plant them as often.
And I remember we had a conversation at some point at one of our shows, and you told me a little bit about the honeybees and the essential aspect of the pollination, and sometimes you actually have to manually help encourage that pollination.
Yeah, so
How does that work?
the I think it's what my 2 co-founders enjoyed the most is when the flowers were out and the bees were not happy, they'd hand pollinate. And really what that means is you're taking a Q-tip, you're
Yeah.
taking pollen from the bees, and you're literally rubbing each one of the flowers. And
Wow.
if one flower equates to one passion fruit, and this year we'll go through, I don't know, 15 million passion fruits,
Wow.
you need a
Wow.
community involved.
Oh
And
my
we
God.
brought in at first the cajachina, which is the pig roast. That was it. We
Yeah.
would try to guess the day that the flowers would be out. We put a pig on the roast, 2 o'clock in the morning. And then by noon, you'd hope that the sun hit at the right time when the pig was done. Whole community's there eating, and everyone would go pollinate flowers.
Whoa.
Now they have spray bottle. Like people have advanced the process a little bit more.
Yeah.
That's just one part. And once that's done, then you need rain and then sunlight. And if it's a darker winter, and I know it's the Caribbean, no one believes they have winter, but they do.
Yeah.
There are winters down there. If it's colder, the fruit's a little more bitter, a little more acidic. If it's warmer and then the fruit falls on the ground, it's going to be a little more bricks forward, which is sugar.
Right.
pH will be backwards. And that's why it's a constant adjustment. And where trade fell in love with us is knowing that not every batch will be consistent. We'll get it almost all the way there and we'll balance it out with the rum and the neutral cane spirit we use. But this is a product of terroir,
Mm.
which does fit with the local agriculture component.
Does the climate, whims change keep you up at night? Like, how do you have any thoughts about how to manage that? I mean, it just so happens that all this fruit comes from a kind of like ground zero for these storms at this time of year in the fall. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
There's nothing to do against the weather. So if a bad weather pattern does come in,
Right.
we're protected in most farms. We're in a valley and an ecosystem that doesn't have as much trauma of rain,
Mm.
but our roads do. So there
Yeah.
have been times where we get the fruit, we harvest it, we put it into sacks, and then we get to the road and the road's gone. When I say gone, I mean there was a bridge and now there's a 30-foot river. And that's where the local community again comes in. And we've crossed the rivers via horseback on sack. We've had people tossing it over. We've had tractors come in. The amount of times our trucks have gotten stuck on the way out of there.
How many of you are there?
The farmers maybe
No,
No,
just with like at Chinola to manage that whole supply chain. Like, how many of you are there?
very few within Chinola directly
Got it.
because
Yeah.
everyone grows, but there's a baby food company that also purchases the fruit.
Right.
And there are
right,
juice
right.
manufacturers that also
Sure.
So there's a lot of people betting that they are going to succeed in their mission. And
Yes.
to our right on the farm is a cacao farmer and 70,000 cacao trees. To my left, the guy does papaya and they do guava and
Yeah.
pineapple.
Huh.
But thankfully, the seasons don't match up necessarily. But when one thing goes down,
Right.
it's all hands on deck because there's only one road in and out of our main farm in Samana. So when one person's in trouble, you sound the alert, and everyone comes in and they help
Right,
out because
right.
knowing that you don't know where you're going to be next week, that's the ecosystem.
Is that like the concept of finca, the farmhouse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is our finca, and everyone has their finca and their farmhouse, and
Yeah.
everyone, on Sunday you get something called coconut bread. And so the one guy that does coconuts, he creates bread, and the one guy has the cows. And when our farm starts to overgrow itself, hey, can we borrow your cows to eat for free?
Right.
Because we want to clear land over here. And when I say full ecosystem, I mean these guys, you get a flat tire here in New York, I gotta go to the auto body shop. a water bottle, duct tape, and a air gun. These guys can fix anything.
Right.
And so everyone there is there for community. You could get this far on the road with a tractor. This is by donkey. This is by horse.
Mm.
And you start to go through and you realize that once you bring education, jobs in, and you help one person, then their family comes in and it
Right.
becomes one sustainable environment.
It's incredible.
Amazing.
Liqueur writ large. You mentioned some brands, Midori, Aperol. It's an unusual variety. It's an unusual line extension. How do you handle bartenders and the education of bartenders to make sure that this is being used right, is being represented correctly?
So it's a delicate balance of never really going into a bar and telling them this is the spectrum of recipe you should use to high caliber bars. You can present them and say, here's how I use it, or here's a recipe that I might have. But when it comes to education,
Mm.
the education goes back down to the ingredients because any very sophisticated mixologist will taste this, they'll see it,
Mm.
and in the mind, they're going to automatically assume I know what to do with it. um, I think we had a really funny saying at Cuervo's, don't let the truth ruin a good story.
Mhm.
And it was great because we were great storytellers. And you read a sheet and you memorize it, but you guys didn't hand me the questions today. It's easy to tell a good story when it's genuine.
Mm-hmm.
And with Chinola, we have a genuine story. So
Mm.
I get caught off guard all the time, and someone asks me a question, and I have to really think about it because it's been a long journey. It's been a decade of creating this brand, and we thought that we were using one soil correctly one time and one fruit correctly one time. And winning Whole Foods changed the dynamic of the brand. And this will get into the educational part. Whole Foods has a list of 3,000 things you can't use in your product. And we're like, oh, that shouldn't be a problem.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, they pointed to one ingredient, one thing, and then I'm like, oh well, that's no big deal. And our CEO is like, oh no, we use that gum. It comes from our farm.
Mm,
It's in the fruit. It's harder to extract it
right.
than to.
And the gum is the cohesive,
The
right?
gum is the cohesive.
That's the viscosity.
No,
No.
it's what blends the viscosity with the non-viscosity.
I see. I
The
see.
gum is what when we hit it into a very
Wow.
high
It
shear
binds it.
mixer, it binds it.
Wow.
But over
Yeah.
time, our process had evolved, and so did the liquid. We didn't need the gum, and the gum sells for a lot of money in Europe. So we pull the gum out. The farmers are happy. They now have a byproduct that they want to remove to go sell elsewhere.
Huh.
And I'm going to go back to your trade education part. At Stranahan's Whiskey, here was the greatest thing we ever did. We have something called volunteer bottling. And volunteer bottling was we were going to give you the right to come in and work a 9-hour shift on a Sunday, and you're going to bottle Stranahan's Whiskey. You're going to leave with one bottle of whiskey,
Yeah.
2 slices of pizza. It will be signed by Jess Graber, the head distiller, and you're going to hear the story all day long. Every time the person that does the volunteer bottling, which is excruciating, goes to a bar, they tell your story for you
Yeah.
because they get to say, oh, well, there's 100 whiskeys there. Well, one time I spent a day working within their distillery. And the long story short is not only do we educate our bartenders, we make them evangelists.
Yeah.
We make them they're a cult following. They want to tell our story. They'll go to bat for us when another puree company comes in and says, you should use this puree. Where does it come from? Well, I don't know, the grocery store. For us, you can identify the farmers. You can identify the crop. You can see when our passion fruit's a little darker. Oh, I bet that bottle came from wintertime. So we give our trade high-level talking points, but over time, they get a really deep understanding of this might change. The viscosity might be a little different. The bricks might shift a little bit. The pH, we might have to balance out in our cocktail. They love that because they think it's real.
Yeah. What has consistently winning at San Francisco World Spirits represented for you and the brand?
Well, not just because you're in the room right now.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
No,
Yeah.
no. This one is easy, and this isn't like a pay plug-in.
Yeah.
There are so many awards out there right now. There are so many people that have tried to replicate what you built and what you did. There's really only one that's non-biased because a lot of them you see when you submit the price tag and then the sponsorship, all these things that are really pay to play. And again, I swear to God, Toby did not pay me to say this. It's the one where we wanted to submit Mango earlier, but we knew we didn't have a good shot, and so we waited. because we knew that the most honest critics in the world were going to be in that room. And what's really separated apart is it's still the one validating award we can put out there. And I think there are other great, I think wine enthusiasts, BTI, they're good because they're realistic. But you guys, those are our peers in there.
Yeah.
Right.
And they really will, they do not care. There are no
It's
friends once you
blind.
walk in
It's
that room.
blind. It's
Yeah.
like it's just quality.
And there's
Yeah.
no friends when you walk in that room. No one's going to give you an easy time. To us, that's validating and that's real. And we haven't always won the high passion fruit. We've done really well.
Yeah.
Well, we've submitted other things and we haven't done as well as we wanted to. But we love that because then we know wine enthusiast was really mean when we launched Mango. No offense to them, but but it was a great criticism to hear. So it hurts. It hurts for a minute. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Go fix the problem.
This is something I'm learning from Andrew. He is not afraid of criticism.
It's
a good thing in a human
I'm very
being.
transparent as well.
It's awesome, man. I think there's no secret to the success of that. Like the success of that, and that can't not be linked.
Oh, it's putting the award of, long story short, putting your guys' award on our packaging. Although we might win a lot of awards, your guys is the one that's what's up front and center, because I think it still means the most genuine, and the one that you guys don't fuck around. Like it's you're either the best or come back next year and try again.
Thanks for saying that. What do you want Chinola to mean in 5 and 10 years?
It's funny. I get asked this question a lot from various people, whether it's the investors, the suppliers, I want to pave the way for a new standard of what cordials can be. There are a lot of brands that I look up to across the board, across the index. What I really want to do is figure out how to be not only the best fresh fruit liqueur company, but the best ecosystem. And I think we haven't really talked about it publicly. I think at one point when we were growing Chinola, this was a Dominican-based liqueur company, and I still think that we can find the best rum from the Dominican Republic, and we can find really good fruit, but it's also narrowed our vision of what the best fruit could be in the world. And we're going to broaden our horizons a little bit. And I'm not saying this is going to be a today or tomorrow thing. We're going to start to look at every tropical region around the world, and we're going to find the best fruit. I think that we have supported our home bases of the Dominican Republic, which will always be 75% of what is in a bottle. But I want to expand past that. I want to start to look at other places. I've just tasted fruit from Peru, from Brazil,
that's incredible.
from Jamaica, from Barbados,
Thailand.
We're looking.
The lemongrass version.
I've seen lemongrass, yuzu.
Right.
There are things we can play around with.
Chinola would be sick.
When we look at the future of the brand, I see it being not just a fresh fruit liqueur company, but a community of farmers that are global, with global reach, and never losing vision of the fact of what our roots came from and what we want to be.
What excites you most about the future of cocktail culture, and where does Chinola fit into that?
There's no end to it. I think what excites me the most is every day you think you know something is the day that you realize you know nothing. And the barrier to entry 15 years ago to wine and spirits was you have to own a winery or a brewery or distillery. You have to make what you want, put it into a bottle, and sell it. The barrier to entry to spirits is gone because we have co-packers now. Technology, the barrier to entry to technology was I need to know how to program. I need to do this all holistically in-house. Now anyone with a laptop that can code can create an app. We've seen that flood the market. With bars, we had some bad actors during COVID that unfortunately had shut down, but we saw the most great Capri Sun, pre-made, high-level cocktails being come out. We've also seen the best Michelin-starred chefs in the world who went really crazy with sous vide and all that, go back to their roots of, all right, I'm going to go back to buying the best corn, the best flour, the best this. So what am I excited about with cocktails? I think it's not only doing the wow factor of the smoke rings and the clarification, it's going back to the roots and realizing if I'm going to fat wash something, it's not just about getting the cream. Where did the cow come from? Where, if I'm going to make, Nix de liqueur is a great example. Their corn liqueur is fantastic, but It's using heirloom corn. And bars are going to continuously push the needle in the sense of creativity, but they're going to start to go more origin based. And the drinks might be pricey, but they're going to come with a story backing them.
Mm.
And I think that's what really excites us is when the guy comes out and, I know the Porn Star Martini, one of the most famous drinks in the world right now. At Bar Bonobo, we have the Corn Star Martini. And
Ha.
it's the play on it. It comes with popcorn. You can't even have the drink till you eat the popcorn. And you hear the story and you're like, why is this popcorn on my plate? Well, let me tell you about the corn. And I think that's where bars are pushing the needle.
I just went and I had this experience for the first time where I went to a restaurant and they brought out 2 plates of ricotta and they said, this one comes from Bessie. She's 6. She, and this one comes from another cow. But they had a story behind it and you could taste the difference. And it was interesting. It's an evolution.
It
I hear
is.
that.
And on a small scale, but that's what excites me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Experiences. How has building Chinola changed you personally?
I used to be a purist of, all right, if we're gonna drink whiskey or we're gonna drink, it's gonna be with soda or it's gonna be by itself. I don't consume a ton of sugar or different products on a regular basis. It's changed in my vision of cocktail culture of being more experimental, I guess. As a person, it's changed the fact of we used to use pay to play to win menus, and now we use our merit. I can't just go in there with another liquid with a giant backer and say, we'll give it to you at a better price, or this celebrity will promote it. I have competitors. They're purees, and they are cheaper than us. We try to tell a better story, and we try to say, here's why that 20 cents should be mitigated and why you should use our product. But it's changed our entire strategy where I used to growing at 300, 500% a year and realizing that we need to grow within pace of our farmers, and 30 to 50% growth year over year is sustainable. And let's take our time backwards. We used to grow brands from 0 to 100,000 cases. Great, we're going to grow Chinola that, but we're going to do it over 7 years. We're going to do it intelligently. So 10 years after that, it's still around. But it's definitely changed my perspective in a category that I knew nothing about other than the fact that I liked it.
What advice would you give to your younger self when you were starting out?
Take the things that matter and are really important and focus on them. I think leaving certain things at the door when you get home are really key.
Such as?
If there's a problem that needs to be solved tomorrow, come into it with a fresh perspective. Really think about the things that matter most to you. Time management. My dad, it's funny, I'll go back to the things he used to tell me. He said, nothing good happens after 10 p.m. Stop convincing yourself I got to be there till 2 a.m. If you're there till 2 o'clock in the morning, it's because you want to be there. It's not because you have to be there. Nothing good happens after 10. There's always going to be food on your table and a roof over your head. Choose the food you want to eat and what the roof looks like. I think there's such easy things that people get lost on. And I was lucky where I didn't look at the lives on Instagram and social media and say, I want to live that life. I did the opposite. I turned it down, just saying, I'm going to stay in the lane that I know what I want to accomplish and who I want to be surrounded with. And what I tell my younger self, surround yourself with people that are smarter than yourself. Because any day that I'm the smartest person in the room, I built a really shitty room of people.
Yeah. In one sentence, what do you hope Chinola represents 10 years from now?
You really
One sentence.
The tough ones. What do I think it represents?
That's hard. One word.
One sentence.
Oh, one sentence. Sorry.
Innovation never dies.
I love that.
Ooh.
I love that. All right, we're going to go into some rapid fire.
Okay. I thought that was the rapid fire.
No, that was the warm up to the rapid fire.
Yes,
All right.
That was the aperitif.
Yeah.
Go to Chinola cocktail.
Porn Star Martini every day.
Ooh.
What's in that?
That'd be a vanilla infused vodka, citrus, normally lime, although I prefer yuzu, and a sidecar of sparkling wine, which I prefer put into the cocktail.
Nice. If Chinola could be paired
Sounds
with one dish
delicious.
forever, what would it be?
Ceviche.
Oh,
Love
good
ceviche.
answer.
Wildest way you've seen Chinola used?
Grappa.
Say more.
Yeah.
Pair with grappa. I used to tell people you can't stump me with any Chinola pairing because we mix with everything.
Yeah.
And I put to that test, and someone in Denver, Colorado called me out, said, well, pair this with grappa then. I got stumped. I had to go back for our friends, the Broken Shaker. I flew back out to Denver 6 weeks later to prove a point.
Oh, no kidding.
Chamomile infused grappa shandy. It was weird as shit. And if you go to the train station in Denver, Colorado, the Italian little pasta bar there, they still serve it to
Oh, my
this.
God.
Yep.
Was it good?
I didn't think so, but they did, and it's been a top-selling drink. Grappa threw me off. It was the one thing I never want to mix with again.
First drink you ever ordered at a bar?
A White Russian. I was watching The Big Lebowski too often. I didn't even know what I was ordering, and I ordered a White Russian, and I had 3 of them. I was so sick.
Oof.
What's your go-to drink when you're off duty?
Oh God, I'm gonna be ashamed for this. Tito's soda with lime. I am basic, simple, clean. Tito's has a place in my heart, not because I think it's the best vodka, but because I love his story and the idea that when everyone attacks you and tries to bring you to your knees, never lose your compass or morale.
Last great book, podcast, or show you couldn't stop thinking about?
Still to this day, it's Bringing Down the House, which the movie 21 was about with Ben Mesrick. And it was all about the MIT kids that went and robbed Vegas. I don't know why that stood with me.
Kevin Spacey was in that?
Yeah, and the book, just the idea of card counting and changing a system. And it's fun to know things about the space you're in. It's really fun to know things about spaces you're not in. And for some reason, counting cards in Vegas and the fairy tale behind it that was actually real, it took me, and every day I look at every situation, I'm like, all right, you're telling me that's impossible. What can actually be done?
Wow.
If you weren't building Chinola, what would you be doing right now?
I've always wanted to have a food truck. And I know people make fun of me all the time because no one in their right mind wants to open up a restaurant, right? It's always been a food truck, food hall, something to do in the restaurant sector is the joy. And the secondary to that is a boutique hotel that we live in with our family. And I own the restaurant, the coffee shop. It's never actually been in the alcohol space. The space is brutal. It takes years off your life. So if there's one thing, it would probably be in that hotel restaurant space.
Amazing. Dream person, living or dead, to share a Chinola cocktail with?
Oh, God, that's not a fire question. It would take me years.
Just one.
Just one person.
Right off the top of your head.
Ernest Hemingway, because I want to know why the daiquiri was so important to him.
Fair.
Yeah,
That's
and I
a
want to
good
know what
answer.
he saw in Applejack, because he convinced me that Applejack was great. When we first started building Great Jones, it was an Applejack distillery.
Amazing.
Because it was called the Essence of Lockjaw. And the most famous drink ever to come to the U.S. was Applejack, which is now Laird's. They call it the Essence of Lockjaw because it was so poisonous you couldn't open your mouth after drinking it.
Wow.
Anyway, long story, Ernest Hemingway would be the guy.
Fair.
Amazing. One word that describes the Chinola journey so far.
Meticulous? I think yeah. It's like, I don't know. What would be the equivalent one word of the devil's in the details? Like getting to one thing right, there's
Precise.
precision, I guess, could be part of it. Meticulous, I think.
That's great. We're starting a tradition with you.
Yep.
That you'll be the first person. You're going to leave a question for the next person that's going to be sitting in that chair.
Okay.
What would that question be?
Is this a speed one, or is it?
No, you can be thoughtful.
Any question.
Yeah.
Well, I think that the one word for Chinola, though, it probably a mix of advantageous versus rewarding. And that's me thinking forward, not backwards, of what's the one word I look forward to. It's been the most rewarding. My dad always said it, the day he was born, married his wife and had his kids, that was level. Obviously marrying my wife, having my daughter was important. The most rewarding journey was getting this into a bottle. And there's a lot of driving factors that I have to why I wanted to do it. I'd ask the next person, what's important about the chair you're sitting in, and what tomorrow, if everything else was gone, would personally give you the want, the need, the drive to continue the journey.
Mm.
Because it's got to be past the credit, the fame, the seeing the bottles on the shelf. What personally drives you? And for me, it's always been hospitality. I wake up in the morning every single day. I love what I do. I love when someone tries this and they're like, "Oh, that's not Alizé. That's citrus in a bottle." The pat on the back is great, but then knowing that pat on the back was actually accomplished by the people on the ground, it's rewarding. Rewarding is the greatest way
Rewarding.
to say.
I'm getting authenticity from this journey. A lot of like real care, which is super admirable.
And I appreciate that because authenticity is something that can be rewarded to me. But if I claimed authenticity, I'd be full of shit because I can't distinguish myself with that.
Amen.
That's got to
Yeah,
be seen from the outside.
exactly.
So I appreciate that.
Awesome. Well, what an incredible conversation. Andrew's story really captures what proof of concept is all about. Taking a dream, believing in it, and doing whatever it takes to bring it to life.
Your journey with Chinola is proof that when passion meets persistence, you can build something that not only stands out, but inspires others to follow their own path.
We want to thank Andrew for sharing his time, his insight, and his story with us, and for reminding us that great spirits are about more than flavor. They're about vision, purpose, and heart.
And if you enjoyed this episode, we encourage you to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and follow the Tasting Alliance on Instagram for updates on the world's top spirits and people redefining what it means to create with intention, like Andrew here. A special thank you to the Tasting Alliance team, Amanda, Maddie, Chloe, Chelsea, Annabelle, and Amanda H., without whom none of this would be possible.
We'll be back with another story of passion, innovation, and the relentless pursuit of excellence, because at the end of the day, proof of concept isn't just about spirits, it's about spirit. Until then, please drink responsibly. I'm Toby Blue.
And I'm Jason Rabinowitz.
Thanks for listening.
We'll see you next time.
Cheers.
Thank you, Andrew.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate you having me.
Yeah.